Hi, folks. I'm Ronnie McDowell, and guess what? We're here with the music, memories, and masterpieces. What y'all don't know about this young fella I've got right here, he's also a painter, so am I. And I have a very special guest that I have known for almost 5 decades. And I'm talking about none other than William Lee Golden. Of course, I call him Bill. Give this man a hand. Good Lord. How you doing, Brother Bill?
I'm doing good, man.
I seen you the other day. I was telling the crowd before we went on the air about being at Soundscape, and they're trying to get us money for our voices.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited about that.
Well, I didn't even know they would do that stuff. So,
Well, I didn't either, but I was telling you a story about Gene Simmons
Yeah.
being at Congress back in February. Me and my two sons, Ronnie Dean and Tyler Dean, we went and bowled at the White House. And I was so excited because Richard Nixon, Kennedy, they all got to bowl at the White House. It's like 3 lanes. And I just had the best time. Well, Gene Simmons was there the same time we were there, Bill. And he was before Congress. And he said, I just want to tell y'all something, that these broadcasting places use our voices, but we don't get paid for it. Can you imagine that Elvis Presley never got paid for the use of his voice? And that's why we were there. And I'm glad that we were all there at Sound Exchange the other morning.
Yeah.
And thank you for being here today, Bill.
yes,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you.
Enjoyed the lunch we had together there.
We did have a good lunch.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell them what you said to me, though.
Well, that's okay.
No, I'm going to go ahead. No, I'm going to go ahead and tell them because you leaned over to me and said, Ronnie, what's this all about? And I said, they're going to tell us. And you leaned over to me and you said, well, whose ass do I have to whoop here today?
You never know.
Hey, Bill, let's just tell it like it is.
Yeah, you never know.
But I want to tell you a story now. Just before we went on the air, he goes, Ronnie, is there any water here? And I had this sitting here, and I said, yeah, Bill, but I got plenty of water back there. So he walks back there, and then he comes back with one of these. You know why I'm got this? Let me tell you a
Perrier.
story. Perrier. Perrier. It was 1980. Cheers. It was 1980 in Portland, Oregon. Well, I was in Oklahoma City at a place called Tulsa. Actually, Tulsa, not Oklahoma City, but Tulsa at a place called Ziegfeld's for 30 days. They had hired me to do Christmas shows for 30 days. So one day I got a phone call and said, hey, you know that song you got out, Wandering Eyes? I got wandering eyes. Yes, it's true, I love the ladies. They said, hey, you're going to be number 2. And we want you to come to Portland, Oregon with the Oak Ridge Boys. So I got up there. I did my thing at the Coliseum. So Joe came into my dressing room and he was walking in with a Perrier bottle.
Yeah.
And he goes, Ronnie, and he held that up the whole time. He goes, Ronnie, you got to come out and listen to what we're doing. I said, what are you doing, Joe? He said, well, we're doing a Dallas Frazier song. I said, well, I'm a history nut, Bill. And I said, which one? He said, Elvira. And he said, you got to hear when Richard goes, up a mile. He said, I'm telling you, Ronnie, the roof will come off of this place. So I go out there, y'all, and this is the God's truth. I went out there, and when they did that song, and when Richard did that, y'all had just recorded it. And literally, the roof came off of that place. So that was 1980.
Yeah, and that was like the first night we did that. It was 3 towns we did it in, and it was the same thing each night. We dropped it in the middle of the show. It's in Spokane, Washington. In the afternoon, we went out with the band for a sound check and run over the song because we were going to drop it. We had just recorded it, a new album, and so in the middle of the show, we dropped the song in there, and at the end of it, man, that crowd exploded. Look, I had never heard before, man.
Well, that's why Joe came into my dressing room and told me that, because that's what happened. You had just performed it, just recorded it. And when he told me that, I went out there And boy, was he right. When y'all did that song, I'm telling y'all, the roof came off of that place.
First three places we did it was Spokane the first night, then in Seattle the next night, in Portland the third night, and it happened the same thing each night in the middle of the show.
Well, I was there with you.
We
The
had to
third
do it
night.
3 times in the middle of the show.
Oh, I know.
They
It was-
wouldn't stop until we did it again and then did it again, man. So it was a magical song.
You know it was, and I had one of those 3 years before that. I was driving down the road over here in Nashville. I just rehearsed with my band. And the last song we did, Bill, you'll love this, with my band. We had a gig up in Bowling Green. And I told the boys, Elvis had this song out right here. Oh, Moody Blue, tell me what I'm getting through. And I said, I know Elvis has this #1 country song out, Moody Blue. I said, but I want to learn an older Elvis song. And so I told him, I said, let's learn Return to Sender. Where's the irony in that? Which we did. So I got over here by Metro Center. Remember Metro Center?
You know?
And I turned the radio on. It was 2:22 in the afternoon. Well, get this. When I started coming down here today, I jumped in my vehicle and it's 12:22. Swear to y'all. I see that number all the time. So I turned the radio on and this DJ goes, Elvis has just passed away. And I didn't believe it. But before I got to 65, I was barely 6 years old when I first heard him sing. And somehow I knew from that moment on, it'd be a lifetime thing.
Yeah.
And I swear, when I did that, I was like, where did that come from? You know why? Because I'd been writing songs for 5 years since I got out of Vietnam, 72. May of 72, I started writing songs. The Wilburn Brothers, Roy Drusky, Billy Walker, Jeannie Shepherd. But when I wrote that, I was like, when it came to me, I was like, where in God's name did that come from? I'm telling you, I think it was a divine thing. So anyway, when the guy played that over at Weno Radio in Madison, you remember Weno Radio?
I remember Weno.
When he played that song, all the phone lines lit up, and he goes, something's wrong with my phones. He had to play it for 3 solid hours. So see, the same thing happened with y'all with Elvira.
Yeah.
It was magic.
It is.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you ever have that opportunity, any artist, a singer that has a song like that comes along, you know, you got to be thankful for it, because a lot of people don't have that opportunity to get a song that really connects with everybody, seems like.
With the masses.
Yeah. Elvira was 16 years old when the Oak Ridge Boys recorded it. Dallas Frazier had it on his first album. Charlie Rich had it on Behind Closed Doors album. I loved it with Kenny Rogers, the first edition, on Something Burning album. And then Rodney Crowell, I think, had it on an album. But they all sang it kind of straight through.
Yeah.
And Ron Chancey wanted Joe to take it the high lead, and to take the lead on it with a high voice, and then for Richard to do the old step out lines like the old doo-wop groups and the old pop groups of the early days, you know, back of like the Drifters and the Coasters and those guys that would have bass singers that do step out lines. And we did that, and no one had been doing that in country music. So it went to the top of country, spilled right over into pop and rock and roll.
Isn't that great how things just go in circles and come back?
Yeah.
And I think somebody needs to do that again.
I do too.
I really do. But I got to tell you, that after that night, I was like, oh my goodness, the Oak Ridge Boys are on fire. Then I heard the next song. Then the next one. Then I got to thinking, when I did Older Women, think about this. That year, in the 81, 82, y'all were doing Trying to Love 2 Women. It's like a ball. And then think about this. Watching girls go by. Me, oh my, older women are beautiful lovers. Yeah. It's like they all sounded just alike. They all had the same beat.
Same beat.
But which is a good thing.
Yeah, it is. Songs you can dance to, even people that can't dance, you can move to.
That's right. And you know what? They moved my spirit.
Yeah,
And that's what I love. And you boys did so many unbelievable songs that reached through the speakers and grabbed my spirit. And I love that. It's kind of like Freddie Hart when he did Easy Lovin' in 1972.
yeah,
A lot of people don't know this, but I got to tell you, that song Easy Lovin' was like y'all's song Elvira.
yeah.
It reached through the speaker and grabbed me and shook me. I went out and bought it. It's one of the only records I ever bought. Well, I also bought Heading Out to San Francisco for the Labor Day weekend show. Jimmy Buffett. I
Yeah.
went out and bought that record because it touched me.
Yeah.
And so many of y'all songs touch me. I think we're going to take a break right now and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Thank you, baby. And welcome back. Here we are with my friend William Lee Golden. And I got to tell y'all, you may not know this about my buddy, but I got to tell you, he is a painter. He does the most unbelievable, wonderful paintings. And he knows that Ronnie McDowell does that too. I got to tell you, I was walking through the Nashville airport one day and his paintings were in the airport. That's how unbelievable your paintings are.
I do landscape paintings, basically, and but you're a great artist yourself, man. I can't do the figures and do people. It's there's an art to doing actual people and their character, real characters, you know. I got friends that are great artists, but I'm certainly not one of them. And
Well, you are to me.
well, I just something that I took up later in life, and for about 10 or 12 years, I tried my hand at painting, and but I would do it all on the road, man. I did all my painting at in a hotel room in different hotels. I'd take my canvas in the morning and take my bags in and maybe some little lights and sit up by a window in my room and spread out some photos and things and stand in front of a canvas most of the day. And first thing you know, it's got to clean up and go sing and then pack it back up and head to the next town. But that's all of my paintings actually, and but they're all landscapes from different places that I found that I was attracted to the landscapes.
Well, I can tell that that's another passion for you, as it is for me. And I never will forget. I want to tell you this. I was somewhere, I think it was in Georgia, and I got a phone call, and it was George Jones. And he goes, "Hey, Ronnie, I want you to paint a picture of me getting a DUI on my lawnmower." I said, "George, that's the best idea I've ever heard. I already see it." He said, "What do you mean you see it?" I said, "Well, George, it's like a song. When you said that, I saw you pulled over by a policeman getting a DUI on your lawnmower." So that was October. Wasn't long before he left us.
Uh,
So Christmas Day, Bill, he called me up and he goes, "Son, you got my painting done?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he said, "Well, bring it over." I said, "George, it's Christmas Day." He goes, "Well, what better day?" So Bill, this is a God's truth. I took that painting over there and he stared at it. I'm telling you, for 30 minutes, he'd go this way and he'd go like that and he'd look at it. And I said, "George, I got to tell you something. I put Jack Daniels in the cup holder." I said, "What the hell were you drinking to get a DUI on a lawnmower?" He said, "Son, that day I was drinking a little of all of it." But I got to show you this right here. Now, I've got the one back there, right there that he signed. But here he is with me right here. I got to show y'all this because I love this. And he's signing it. And there it is back there, the one that he signed. And you ain't going to believe what he put on there. But I said, "George," no, he said to me, he said, "Ronnie," he said, "what do I have to sign?" And so I looked at him and I said, "George, I'm going to be honest with you. You don't have to sign anything. I just want to sell prints." Here's how grounded and humble our friend George Jones was. He goes, "Ronnie, You don't have to ask anybody anything for the rest of your life. You sell all the paintings you want to. You know who else told me that? Same exact thing, Dolly Parton. Those two iconic people said, Ronnie, you don't have to go through nobody. You don't have to ask anybody. You sell all the paintings you want to. Isn't that unbelievable?
That's great.
How grounded and humble those iconic people were. But that's not the end of that story. So when he called me, he sent me a picture of how he looked then. And I said, George, go out and get on your lawnmower. And he sent me a stack about that thick. The next day, I got them. And right in that was the perfect one. So I painted it. So one day in February, after Christmas, he called me up and said, son, you got to redo that painting. I said, what do you mean, George? He said, you made me look too old and decrepit. I said, George, you sent me the picture. So Nancy gets on the phone. She said, Ronnie, can you paint a picture of him with that flat top, make him look younger? I did. So then he called me up. I was at the Beau Rivage. He was at the Hard Rock in Biloxi. Called me up and said, son, it's my 80th birthday. I want you to come. You're number 11. There's 10 of us. You can come to my birthday. You got that new painting? I said, yes, sir. That's it right there, where he looked younger.
Wow.
When I took the cover off of that, he looked at me and he goes, son, you got it right now. I love that story. Yeah. So there's a story behind every painting, as I'm sure it is with yours.
And most artists will tell you, it's like also a thought behind every stroke. Your mind is going while you're doing all of that, man.
Yeah.
And whatever your thoughts are for the day is thoughts that you're putting into that painting. And whichever way it's going, and whether they're thoughts that are subtle or whatever. But anyhow, you're putting thoughts into it for one way or the other. So it's put together with a lot of thoughts.
I get it. I get that. And my hero is Norman Rockwell, and that's why I paint live. Like right there, Elvis and my friend DJ Fontana and Scotty Moore. I didn't know Bill Black because he passed away in '64 with a brain hemorrhage, the bass player. I didn't know him, but I worked with Scotty and DJ for 40 years. So I love that painting. I put them all together because my favorite all-time song, I didn't know this until I heard him say it one day. So somebody asked Elvis, they said, what is your favorite all-time song you did? He said, well, I'm going to tell you. And so he did this. And I told DJ Fontana, I said, DJ, how did he turn that guitar over and slap the back of that guitar with his foot up on a stool? And when they was playing and he sang, yeah, do a little of it, Steve. I said, how did he do that? And he went, well, you know I can't be found sitting home all alone. If you can't come around me, hey, please telephone. Don't be cruel to a heart that's true. So I said, DJ, how in the hell did he slap the back of that guitar and that microphone like it is right here saying that's so perfect? And DJ Fontana looked at me and he goes, Ronnie, it was Elvis. I went, oh yeah. But anyway, I heard Elvis say, my favorite two songs I ever did was It's Now or Never and Don't Be Cruel. And that's mine too. What is your favorite all-time song? Not y'all's. When you were growing up, where?
Well, man, one of my favorite songs throughout the years has been it's a ballad.
But where were you born and raised?
South Alabama, man.
What town?
In Bruton, Alabama. Right,
I know where
south
that's
of
at.
Bruton. And it's, I grew up on a farm. My dad was a big farmer. And it's right on the Alabama-Florida state line, actually. In fact, you can throw a rock over in
I know
Florida
where
from
it's
where
at.
I was born, actually. And, but yeah, at the end of our field, the trees past that is in Florida a lot of times. And,
So when you were growing up there as a little boy, I know what influenced me.
yeah,
I mean, I was influenced by Fats Domino, Little Richard,
yeah,
the Platters. And then one day my sister Linda Sue, she loved Little Richard.
yeah,
Well, she brought this record home called Tutti Frutti.
yeah.
Well, all I know her by is Tootie. That's what I call her. So then one day she brought Hound Dog and Don't Be Cruel. She brought that record home. Well, my mother had 11 of us. I'm number 7. So she was getting ready to go to work. She worked 3 jobs trying to take care of us. I don't know how she did it, but I was listening to Hound Dog over and over. And she come in there and she said, "You ain't going to listen to that song anymore." So then she went out and got in a cab, Bill, and I turned it over, and it was "Don't Be Cruel," and I ain't been the same since. So who influenced you?
Well, man, it all started when I was real little, really, as far as my singing and playing music, really.
Yeah.
My sister taught me how to play guitar and sing harmonies when I was 6 and 7 and 8 years old. And we'd sing old country songs, the Hank Williams songs, "I Saw the Light," songs that we could sing in church too. And Granddaddy'd let us sing on his radio show some, but as a kid growing up doing that, and then in high school singing in the FFA quartet. My first quartet was, and we would sing pop songs like "Sincerely," the McGuire song,
Oh yeah.
and things like that. But then in high school, man, that's when rock and roll hit, and it was exciting for me, and I loved all of Elvis stuff. I like Carl Perkins, Little Richard, Fats Domino, and all those guys, man. It was Jerry Lee Lewis, man. That stuff, Great Balls of Fire, and
Oh yeah.
but I love that music, and it evolved. Your taste evolved as well.
Well, yeah. But when you were in Alabama,
Yeah.
see my total inspiration in country, George Jones at his birthday, 80th birthday. He was sitting next to me and he goes, "You know who my hero is, don't you, son?" I said, "George, I know everything about you. I'm a history nut, and you're my total inspiration, almost." He said, "What do you mean, almost?" I said, "My total inspiration is yours." He said, "Who is it, son?" I said, "George, when I was 3 years old, I was walking around the house, give me a C, singing this song. And you were singing it too. Let's do it. You're cheating heart. Well on. See, I knew it. You'll cry and cry and try to sleep. Sleep won't come the whole night through. The whole night through. Sing it, man. Your cheating heart. Tell them. See, we all had the same growing up inspirations. We all did. We'll be right back. I'm back here with my buddy William Lee Golden of the wonderful Oak Ridge Boys, and I mean that with all my heart. I love every one of them. Not long ago, my boss Mike Curb wrote a song called "Make America Great Again," and I called these boys and asked them if they would sing that with me. They didn't even hesitate. They did that with me. So I thank you for doing that song with me. I mean, every time I ask y'all to do something, you never hesitate. You just
Well, that's what we chose to do in life, and we just jump at every opportunity to get together and harmonize, man.
yeah.
That's what it's all about.
I got to tell you, Bill, you've got a new book out,
Yeah.
and the reason I love this, let me tell you why. Because Scott England came to me one time years ago, and he said, "I want to write a book about you," and I said, "Well, I appreciate it, but I'm not old enough." He said, "Yes, you are." It was about 10 years ago, and I said, "No, I don't think I'm old enough." He said, "Yes, you are." He said, "The reason I want to write a book about you is because when I was 18, I used to come see you, and there was a 14-year-old girl. she came to see you too. Well, he said, I got to meet her, got with her, and he said, we've been married 37 years now. I said, wow. He said, but that's not why I want to write a book about you. I said, why is that? And he said, well, you remember this? And he pulled out an 8 by 10. You remember this boy? And I said, yeah, I remember him. He said, well, he became a famous magician and he came to see you all the time too, Ronnie. He said, but he got leukemia. He was one of my best friends in life. On his deathbed, he said, come here, Scott. He said, I kneel down there. He said, go see Ronnie. I said, okay, Scott, I'll do it. And that's what made me do it. And then right after that, he did my friend Johnny Lee.
Yeah.
But I told Scott England, I said, Scott, I'll write a book, but I don't want anything negative. He said, what do you mean? I don't want anything negative. Make everything positive. He said, what about your ex? And I said, well, then that's hard. But I said, put the blame on me. You remember that song?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so then he went on after he did Johnny Lee's book. He said, Ronnie, you know Johnny Lee, don't you? I said, well, yeah. He said, boy, your book's a lot different from Johnny Lee. If you know Johnny like I do. I said, I get it, but Johnny is Johnny.
Yeah.
So then he went on to write a book about you, and I love this. And we have it here.
Well, it's it's an autobiography actually.
Yes.
Scott wrote, and he hit me up to write a book too, and it was during the pandemic that I invited him down to the farm where I grew up. I was there for a couple of weeks on the farm and back at the home that I grew up in, and
I love this cover, by the way. I love it.
anyhow, it's called Behind the Beard. So he goes back to where it all started with me and my childhood. He talked to my sister. She lives across the street from the farmhouse. And but he talked to the people that in my life, you know, all the Oak Ridge boys. He also, he's got over 200 photographs in here of me. He's got photographs with me with all of my different wives and my 4 wives. And we're not all together. But and he interviewed my first wife and my 4th wife. So
Okay.
All right.
he all of that's in here, and each one of my wives is a picture in here. I still love all of them.
I know.
You know,
But that's
trying
who
to
he
love
is.
2 women is like a ball and chain. But that's where it started with me.
Oh, I love that. What year was that car? It's got to be in the
know. It was my
early
granddad.
40s, late 30s.
Yeah.
I love
We're
that.
out
Hey, you ain't
over-
changed a bit. Look at there.
But anyhow, there's pictures of the Oak Ridge boys for all the 50 years I've been with them. We're 60 now. And, but Scott did a good job.
He did. He does an unbelievable job. I think Scott told me he's on his 14th book now. Started with me,
Yeah.
and now he's on his 14th book.
And then this past spring, he released another book with me. I talked about my painting and my getting good cameras to try to get good landscape shots, you know. And so all at once, I'm such a slow painter, man. It take me 3-4 months to do a painting, finish one, and I'm just real slow. And you kind of put your background, you layer in each layer, but it's doing photographs. It was when I got digital photographs in 2008. I took it on the road, been getting out of hotels and going out and taking great landscape shots.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know this, but he's an unbelievable photographer. He takes the most unbelievable shots, and if you could see this book, you would love it. Scott gave me one of those, by the way. And
Okay.
thank you for signing it for me.
Yes,
Thank you.
sir. But Scott put all this together for me, and just to mention about Scott England here that wrote these books. I've known Scott a long time too. You know, he's been following you, but him and his wife and his daughter, they followed the Oak Ridge boys for years, and I would do his show. He comes out of television. He was at a television station up in Illinois
Right.
when we met, and he was a producer there, a writer, a host, and a director. And we went and visited his show one day. It was kind of a daytime show that he had a popular local show.
Right.
We were playing up there, and he had us as a guest to talk about our performance. But we've known Scott a long time, and like he come to Nashville to be in television with RFD TV.
Right.
So his whole background is in television and writing. So he would interview me, man, every 2 or 3 days. He'd come sit on the front porch during the pandemic, and he would ask me questions. And so I talked, and I told him then, talk to anyone else you want to about whoever I am, because we're all maybe looking out of different eyes at
Right.
situations. But yeah, I don't mind admitting who I am, and the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Hey, but I got to tell you, if you don't have this, you need to get it because it is unbelievable. The photographs are so beautiful. You not only paint, but you take great pictures.
I took photographs to be to use as reference, but I tell you what, I've got several photographs in my home that are reproduced on canvas or either big board that I use them as fine art in my home.
You know, speaking of that, y'all may not know this, but I'm not going to tell you where he lives, but I will tell you this because I'm a history nut. He lives in a house by the creek, not too far from where I live, and I'm a history fanatic. And tell him what year your house was built.
My house was built 240 years ago on 1786 by Revolutionary War Colonel James Franklin. And he fought with George Washington, was one of the immortal seven that turned the British back. My home, it was an outpost. It was Station Camp Outpost.
Right.
That's how Station Camp Creek got its name, but it was an outpost. He loved the spot after his service. He was given a section of land, which is 640 acres, for his service in the Revolutionary War.
Unbelievable.
He chose that spot, brought his family there, built a home. That was 1786. It was 3 years before George Washington was president and 10 years before Tennessee was a state. It was 10 years after the Revolutionary War.
Right.
And anyhow, it does have history.
It does, and I'm a history nut. And speaking of that,
Come over and meet some of the ghosts sometimes.
I would love to because I just love that place where you live because I just love history, like the history that you have with the songs that you did. Would you do just a little bit of that song that I love? Sing this song, just a little of it.
If it weren't for kids, have you ever thought wouldn't be no Santa Claus? Or look what the store just brought, thank God for kids.
I love that.
We'd all live in a quiet house without Big Bird or a Mickey Mouse. And play on the couch, thank God for kids. Thank God for kids, there's magic for a while. Special kind of sunshine in a smile. Did you ever start to think or wonder why the nearest thing to heaven is a child? Daddy, how does this thing fly? And 100 other wheres and why? Really don't know, but I try, thank God for kids. When I look down in those trusting eyes that look to me, then I realize there's love that I can't buy, thank God for kids.
Wow.
Thank God for kids, there's magic for a while. A special kind of sunshine and a smile. Did you ever stop to think or wonder why The nearest thing to heaven is a child. Daddy, how does this thing fly? And 100 other where's and why? Really don't know, but I try. Thank God for kids. All right.
Unbelievable.
And grandkids too.
And grandkids too. I'm
Yeah.
telling you.
And I met your grandson with you, Bill.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many you got?
I got 3 grandsons and I got 7 grandkids.
Wow.
So
Well, I got you beat.
I got 3.
You mean with 4 wives?
Yeah. And I got 3 great grandkids.
Oh, okay.
I started early, man.
Hey, I got to tell you, this guy's such an inspiration. Let me tell you why. Every day he does sit-ups. Tell him how many.
Well, I've kind of evolved into doing weights with I still touch my toes several times, but I do, I use 10-pound weights in each hand. And I stand up and do it because it's better on keeping my legs in shape.
Yeah.
Sit-ups wasn't doing what I needed to help my legs. So I was doing 200 sit-ups a day for several years, actually. And then past couple of years, I've used weights to standing up and going all the way down, touch the toes with the weights.
Now tell me this is not an inspiration. And Mr. Bill, if you don't mind telling them how young you are.
I'm 87.
Inspiration.
Yeah, man. It's just like, get you some weights and
Oh, yeah.
get it down there and go down and touch the floor and all of that, man. I mean,
Hey, I'm telling you, I hope I'm breathing at 87. Good Lord. And here he is doing that. I love that.
yeah.
Hey, everybody, I want y'all to put your hands together because now Jimmy Velvet was my first guest that I loved. He's one of only 2 people, God's truth, that are still left on planet Earth that rode around with Elvis Presley in a car in 55. Well, so is Jimmy Snow, Hank Snow's boy. And I'm going to have Jimmy Snow because he has the most unbelievable stories. He was given a envelope in 1955 to take down to Lubbock, Texas, to give to Elvis Presley. Well, he didn't know anything about Elvis, nothing. But right over here, not too far from here, where Colonel Tom Parker lived, he said, son, you take this, give that to Elvis Presley. So when he walked into the dressing room, Elvis was combing his hair. Jimmy said, I've never laid eyes on this guy. But my dad and Colonel Parker started working with him. And on the show that night was me. You ain't going to believe this. You know what song, Jim? A little history for you.
Okay.
He was on RCA. Jimmy Snow, you know what song he had out?
Jimmy, I don't know.
Oh, he had this song. Treat me like a fool, treat me mean and cruel, but love me. It sounded like his dad,
Yeah.
but it's an interesting story. So he walked in, he gave that envelope, and he said, hey, Elvis, my dad and Colonel Parker said, give this envelope to you. He said, I looked at him and he said, hey, man, are you wearing eye makeup? And Elvis goes, yeah, man, it brings my eyes out. So that night, Hank Snow went on. He was the big star. He had this song out, #1 song. That a big 8-wheeler rolling down the track says my true loving daddy ain't a coming back. She's a rolling on. She's a moving on. All the audience were going, we want Elvis, we want Elvis. So right in the middle of that song, Hank Snow stopped. He goes, well, if you'll just let me finish this number, a little bastard will come out and sing you another song. Jimmy Snow said, the next day I started wearing eye makeup. I love these stories. I can't wait to have Jimmy Snow. He's 92 now.
Really?
Hank's boy, yeah. But the stories that he has is so unbelievable, and I got to get him on here to tell these stories because he's the only one left besides Jimmy Velvet. Well, besides you.
Well,
And it is amazing that he is still touching his toes, bending over. What an inspiration William Lee Golden is. Give him a hand.
I'd like to say one more thing. Scott England is here today, too. You know,
Oh, I know.
the guy that wrote these books.
Yeah, Scott England.
Scott England's here today, so he's not only a great writer, but he's a great host and TV guy, too.
And a wonderful friend of mine and yours. Yes.
How about we let the
Scott.
How about we let them meet them?
Yeah, Scott, come on up here, brother.
Come on this way.
And I got to tell you, and I mean this with all my heart. Hey, when I meet people, I'm telling y'all, I see their spirits. I swear I do. I see who they are. When I first met this guy, I thought, this guy right here has the sweetest spirit,
Well-
and he still has. But I got to tell you what he did. He came over to my house. He said, Ronnie, I'm going to be a UFC fighter. I said, you're going to do what? He said, well, I'm going to be a boxer. He said, my influence was Muhammad Ali. He said, I met Muhammad Ali, and he said, I'm going to be the oldest boxer. Tell him, Scott.
When we were pulling in here, Ronnie, William
Yep.
and I today, I said, this place brings back horrible memories for me because just next door is where I got knocked out.
I was here that
And you
night.
were there.
I was there.
And William was there. And that was one of the greatest nights of my life because I have cheered on Ronnie McDowell for all my life. I've cheered on William Lee Golden all my life. And that night, they were both there to cheer me on.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I set the world record for the oldest professional boxing debut ever.
How old were you then?
I was 58 years old, and I took on a 23-year-old. And Ronnie, before the fight, came into the dressing room, and I had my trunks on, and he said, now, Scott Moe, he always called me Scott Moe, don't let this young fella knock you out. And I should have listened to Ronnie, but
How long did it
But I
take?
set the world record, and that's all to count.
How long did it take for him to knock you out?
Well, I didn't get knocked out. They stopped the fight. It was about a minute or so. But I set the record.
You did. That's the main
And I
thing.
still have my brain intact. I could still write books like Ronnie's book and William's book that you can get at williamleegoldenbook.com or Amazon. Got to get the plug in there.
Yeah.
And but I love you guys both very much.
I love you too, Scott.
After all these years, one of my best friends, William, one of my dearest friends in life. And the more you get to know either one of these guys, the more you love them. And they're great.
Scott England, everybody. I've had the best time being with a young fella that I have known almost. Think about this. In Portland, Oregon in 1980, what that would be 46 years, almost 5 decades I've known this young guy. And I'm so proud of him. He is really an inspiration. I mean, how many people do you know at 87? Well, let me tell you this. 2 months ago, I was with Pat Boone. He's 92. He goes, Ronnie, does this look like a 92-year-old bicep to you? He said, I've been a gym freak all my life. That's Pat Boone.
Yeah.
So you're in the same category. What you need to know, you don't know this, but I work out all the time, all my life. It's so sad to me. I got on the bus in 77 when the King is Gone was out. All my band members said, well, Ronnie's on a diet. We're all going to starve. Well, guess what? They're all gone. You know why? Lifestyle.
Yeah.
They didn't take care of themselves.
Right.
But see, you take care of yourself, and I'm proud of you. Anyway, would y'all do me a big favor and give this young fellow one big hand, and thank y'all for coming out here tonight. Thank you.